ये इधर आपको चेंज करना पड़ेगा।
क्यों? साइज
Hello everyone, this is Sagar Shah and today we are here at the sixth round of the Goa GM 2019. Let's have a look at some of the scenes from the venue. Maybe the camera is yet to come in the position. So we have some interesting matchups today on board number 1. We have Petrosian Manuel, who is the sole leader of the tournament, and he is on 5 out of 5. Pulkesh Sahu is here online, and hi Pulkesh, welcome to the show. Okay, so this round today is a very crucial day in this entire tournament because after this day we will be finishing 7 rounds, which is nearly 70% of the event, and that's the reason why we may have a very clear idea of who would win the tournament. So here is the first board game. Playing with the white pieces is Petrosian Manuel, the leader of the tournament, and he's up against Peter Koschenko. Aryan Goswami, welcome to the show. Okay, the game was an English, and white is playing pretty normally, not trying for anything special. He played d3 here. Knight f6 would have been a symmetrical line, but bishop f5, and the move that was played was h3. The idea is that if you castle, then queen d7 or queen c8 prepares bishop h3. So even if you play rook e1, then after bishop h3, bishop h1, h5, h4 is a interesting attacking idea. Aniket, welcome to the show, and we are slowly building up a good audience today. We decided to go live a little bit early so that we'll have 2 live sessions for first half of the game, and then I'll come back live again to finish off the games. Okay, so bishop f5 was played and h3, and now queen c8 is very normal because you don't want to allow white to castle. Queen d2. Okay, now this is a little bit interesting move, but the idea is that after a6 that was played, white wants to play b3, and so the knight is defended. He can put his bishop to b2 and this leads to interesting positions. Okay, Mohammad Azruddin says, thanks a lot, man. Welcome, Mohammad. I'm glad that you are here, and I would like all of you to guess some of the moves, to join in the interaction, and so that we can enjoy these games today. So here, this is where the live position is. Let me see if we can get the live feed from the venue. It's too zoomed in. We need to see the board number 1 right now. So I'll wait for the live feed from the venue. Okay. Uh, Sorry for the interruption. Uh, let's get back to the position that we have on the board right now. Well, we have a few people joining in here. Judge from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. That's wonderful. We also have Chess Kings, who is saying that he's enjoying the show. Okay. Now, sorry, I'm very sorry for that. Just some problem in the throat. So, many of you suggesting the move g4 here. Let's just assume black plays knight to f6, bishop b2, castles, and g4 and try to castle. But I think the move g4 weakens a few things in the position, so you have to be careful from that. But of course, this could be played. I am thinking that here white would like to play something like bishop b2, knight d5, play towards the center. Okay, let's go to board number 2. As we just saw, the moves that we made actually happened in the game. After b3, knight f6 was played, bishop b2, castle was played. So this is the position on the board. And this is board number 1 between Manuel Petrosian, who is the leader of the tournament, and Peter Koschenko. Okay, Shavindra Singh, welcome to the show. We have also Wilberthoven from North Korea. Wow. So we have a very wide range audience today. We have someone from Kuala Lumpur, from North Korea, and so that's exciting. Okay, e4 over here also is possible to play, but after, let's say, bishop d7 or bishop d7 makes sense. I think that black would be happy in some cases to use the d4 square, but sure, this is a possibility for sure. Okay, the time here right now is 10:09 in the morning. So I think we are 39 minutes into the game. Let's look at board number 2. Board number 2 is Deepan not Chakravarti. I think board number 2 is the game between Ter Sahakyan Samuel and Deepan Chakravarti. Okay, that would be interesting to follow. Deepan always has some new ideas up his sleeve. So, and he's always a fighter. This is the best thing about him. So let's have a look at this game over here. White is Ter Sahakyan Samuel, who is a very well prepared player in general. So he opens with e4, c5, knight f3, d6, and we quickly get to the Najdorf, which is Deepan's favorite opening. But actually it didn't go from the Najdorf move order. It went from e6 first, then bishop e3, a6, f3, b5, g4, bishop b7, g5, knight d7, and in general, if you look at this position, it looks like somehow I really like black's position. You know, his bishop will come to e7, he will castle, his knight will come out to c6. He's sorted in a way, you know, he knows what he's going to do. White, on the other hand, also has a relatively simple plan. He's going to play queen to d2, long castle, h4, h5, and try to attack with g6. The plans in this position are so well known that actually the players can simply blitz out their moves. But they are always looking at some subtleties, you know, like a move when to play b4, when to break with h6, sometimes even that is a possibility, when to jump with the knight to c5 or b6, c4, or put this knight on d7. You know, there are so many possibilities in this position that it still makes it interesting, and you will see, in spite of it being very theoretical, in in 39 minutes the players have made only 9 moves. So here I have a feeling that Deepan is surely going to be playing for a win here. He is on 4 points. He is playing with the black pieces. He is playing with the black pieces, and white is Ter Sahakyan Samuel. Okay, then let's move on to board number 3 and see what's going on there. Board number 3, we have Abhijit Gupta playing against Valery Neverov. So today a lot of Indian players have made their way to the top, and that is interesting to see because usually these tournaments are dominated by these international GMs. So good news for Indian fans. If Deepan can beat Ter Sahakyan and now Abhijit Gupta, who is playing with the white pieces, can beat Neverov, then you know we have Indians at the top. Pulkesh Sahu says that the previous position that we are just looking at was analyzed by me with Anish Giri in the Olympiad. This is a very interesting point, Pulkesh, what you mentioned, that this was analyzed by me with Anish Giri. So, I will just bring up that position on the board. This is the one that he is talking about, and yes, Anish had played it with the black pieces, if I am not mistaken, against Farooq Amanatov. Okay. Yeah. Also, Aniket Kilgandre says that in such positions, rook c8 into c3 is very much a possibility. Agreed. I would recommend people who are watching this to look at the game between Movsesian with the white pieces against Garry Kasparov, one of the greatest games in the lines where rook into c3 was played. Fantastic game. Okay, coming back to the game of Abhijit Gupta, he is playing with the white pieces against Neverov, and here we see Abhijit always playing his favorite Catalan. You know, he loves it a lot. Let me see if we have been able to fix the video yet. No success here. So g3, bishop b4, knight d2, and this is Abhijit's favorite move. They say that bd2 is of course the principal choice and you play, but Abhijit says, okay, I don't care, I will play a little passive move, knight d2, but I know I have prepared it well. So castles, bishop g2, b6, castles, bishop b7, cd5, ed5 and knight e5. I mean, Abhijit has played this so many times. I think if I use the reference feature on my ChessBase 15, I will be finding Abhijit's games exclusively. I mean, the thing about Abhijit is that once he starts liking a system and he studied it in depth, he's going to play it over and over again. So I just tried to make a little search, and this very position is not been played by him, although I have a doubt that after knight bd2, Abhijit has played this position many times. So, I am just going to search here, but I am not able to find his games. Maybe I am looking at the wrong thing. Is I should look at not A but Gupta, which is G. Yes, yeah, I have 5 games in this position. So Abhijit drew with Pogonina, he beat Santos Ruiz, he beat Petrov, Marian Petrov, he drew with Estemera Panos, and he beat Atharva Zail. The Atharva Zail game was very recent. Let us just have a look at how Abhijit plays in these positions, you know, because it is very interesting to learn from these games. This was played at the Sharjah Masters, and after castles, bishop g2, we actually reached the same position, knight e5, knight bd7. This is cool, knight bd7, And there were a few more moves that were played. Queen a4, this is all same, and here Atharva played bishop d6 while Neverov has played the move a5. Okay, now a5 move, the bishop is kept on b4, but in the game where bishop d6 is played, let us have a look at how the game continued. Knight dc4, this is the key move in the position, you are attacking the bishop, and if he plays bishop to e7, I could still keep the knight here, and there are ideas at some point to play knight c6. Overall, this does not look so great. So, knight c4 he took on e5, and after knight e5 I think already white has a good edge in the position. So, this line overall I think is something which you guys can also try. It is pretty simple. You put your knight on d2, then you put your bishop on g2, and when black posts his bishop on b7 and tries to start getting active here, then you can take to fix the structure, and black does not want to take with the knight because e4 is gives him the center, and he does not want to take with the bishop because after queen c2 e4 is very difficult to stop. So, he takes back with the pawn, and then you can play knight e5, the other knight can go to f3, queen can go to a4, bishop can go to f4, rook can move to c1. This is a typical Abhijit sort of a line where you are not really thinking so much, you are just playing on the feel of the position. Okay, so this was the game between Abhijit. We should just have an update of board number 1, which we started off this session with, because a few more moves were played on board number 1, and here we left off at castle, and then knight d5 was played, knight into d5, bishop into g7, king into g7, cd, and very surprising move here, knight to a7. I mean, he could have played knight b4, but I think after knight h4 attacking the bishop and then threatening a3, black is already in trouble because I want to keep the d5 pawn defended. So, bishop g7, cd, knight a7, and it is not so silly because the knight can jump from here and come to the center, rook c1, rook b8, okay, interesting play. I have a feeling that white has a small edge here, but white has to figure out how to castle because he does not want to be losing out his h3 pawn. So, either he has to go g4 or play something else. d4 is also an option here because he has got his rook to c1. Okay, so Ansh say here, Ansh Chess and Gaming says, I am Ansh, remember we met in Mandya, and can we have a lecture on Sicilian Khan? Well, Ansh, yes, I remember we met in Mandya, and I am going to ask Amruta to make another lecture on Sicilian Khan. That is her opening, and she is the one who decides when to make it. So, please, you should mention it to her when she comes live. What happened on board 5 and 6? Okay, let us go to board number 4 now. This one is the game between Stupak Kirill and Nguyen Van Huy. This is Stupak is a Belarusian GM, while Nguyen Van Huy is from Vietnam. And in this game also we had d4, d5, c4, e6, and we had this, instead of bishop b4 we had bishop e7. So, again a Catalan. Looking at all these games together will help you to understand what are the openings that are being repeated at these top levels. So, b6 was played, By the way, b6 idea is that knight e5 could be played here. This is clearly a possibility, and this guy is hanging, so you might imagine this is a possible move, but black always takes on d4, and then after bishop a8 takes on e5 with a very complicated position. Anything can happen here. Okay, bishop g5 was played in the game. Bishop knight d5 takes, queen c4, bishop a6, queen c2, knight d7, knight c3, takes, rook c8, rook e1 and c5. I think black has a fine position here, unless of course queen a4. What happens to this move here? How do you defend your bishop on a6, also the pawn on a7 here? Does black have something up his sleeve, or maybe he is planning to go knight b8 back, which would be slightly passive, but otherwise how do you play? Your bishop doesn't have a good square. Okay, Manthan Kale, welcome to the show. Also Chess Talkers, good morning, welcome. Okay, the lights just went off. I hope that you can see me. It will be dark over here. Maybe the stream would also go away if the internet is not working. The internet is going on, so we're going to enjoy chess in the dark. Okay. Yeah, the same thing happened actually in the game. Nguyen Van Hui and Stupak. Queen c5, queen a4, knight b8. Okay. So we are guessing good number of moves. Now let's do some kind of small guessing game in one of the encounters. Let me choose an interesting one for you guys. How about Antonio Vianney Dicuna, who's playing with the white pieces against P. Inian. This will be an interesting game to follow. And I guess you can see me in the dark. This is quite scary. Yeah, I'm looking at the video, and I'm looking like just my face, nothing else, and also the board is sort of vanishing. So yeah, it's actually all dark outside, in the playing hall. So don't worry. Okay. Yeah, chessboard has also vanished. The electricity has gone away, and things have just gone for a toss. I guess we could talk here, all of you, and none of the viewers are also speaking anything. So guys, dark is the color of the universe, says Pulkesh Sahu. Nice. Yeah, there's something wrong with my, there's no charging, so this always happens. Isn't it feeling hot, says Manthan Kale. Well, Manthan, it is pretty cool in here because we are in a room with air condition, but in the playing hall, it's pretty hot out there, with it's a stadium and people are there. Okay, Chess Talker says, which laptop are you using? I use Dell G3, yeah, G315. Okay, Yagami Light has come here. Yagami, your name has light, so can you just try to bring back the light here? It's. Yeah. Okay, when will the light come back, says Advait. Well, I have no idea when the light will come back, and usually it's like they have a generator here which takes around 5 to 6 minutes to begin. So I think that way things could come back. By the way, now I guess the board is back, so at least we have something that we can continue watching, but I don't know if that is going to work. Let me see. Yeah, if the stream is on, there should be some backup. Yeah, I understand. I don't know how the internet is working here. Maybe it's some special connection that we have. Okay, the game which I wanted to show you guys was Indian playing against Antonio. So white is Antonio Vianney and black is Indian. Okay, sorry, the other way around. White is Indian, black is Antonio Vianney, and so your job is to guess the moves from both sides. Okay, so whatever you guess, I'm going to make a few moves first. D4, knight f6, c4, g6 was played in the game, and we had the King's Indian, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6, knight f3, castles, bishop e2, e5, castles, knight c6, and now d5, knight e7. So we had this very main line of the classical system in the King's Indian. And now my hint to you is, what should white play? It's the most aggressive system against this black, the way black plays. What do you play? Yes, there is no hall in the playing hall. Absolutely, it's all pitch dark. I can see a few torches from here. People are trying to find their way in. They are all sitting. So yeah, it's pretty dark. Okay, we have Pat Nathan, who is from Australia. Welcome, Pat. Very nice to have you here. Aryan Goswami says knight to e1. Well, Aryan, this move is pretty good and one of the main lines, because you want to put your knight to d3 and then push the pawn to c5. But you know, it's not aggressive. It's a positional line. What do you play in this position which is aggressive? You know, you are trying to play aggressively. Okay, we have a few suggestions. Manthan Kale says bishop e3. Okay, possible. Aryan Goswami says knight d7, knight e1, knight d2 is one move. Sanjay sir, yes, you are right. B4 is an aggressive approach. Exactly. B4 is the correct move in this position. And B4 is the start of a bayonet attack. Lekha Rathod, Advait Vibhute, everyone suggested the move B4. Well done, guys. Manthan, H4 is not the way to play here. I mean, you're going to not weaken your own king side here in the King's Indian with H4, because black is the one who wants to play on the king side, while white is going to play on the queen side. The problem that we are having here on the board is not related with actually the streaming. It's basically the light has gone off, and so the charging of my laptop is also gone, and sometimes all of this streaming and all can take a toll on the machine, and that's the reason why there are some issues with the board. But I think now we are back, and yes, B4 is the correct move. That was what was played in the game. So now it's time for you to think of black's move. What should black play? Any suggestion? Okay, Aryan Goswami says A5. Okay, A5 is a possible move. What do you play? You know, I would like all of you to focus on the board and to not get upset by the light gone or something. It's a good moment to actually say, you know, we like chess so much that nothing can distract us. So that's why I'm keeping this stream going. I could have ended it and said, hey, let the light come back. but you know, nothing should come between us and looking at the games of chess. Okay, so a5 is a possible move for sure, and this is one of the main moves, but it's time to attack. You know Antonio Vianney, he's an aggressive player, so is P. Indian. Advait Vibhute says knight d7 and f5. Advait, this is a right idea, but can you execute it better? Anand Pandya is here and he says knight to h5. Well done, Anand, excellent. This is what Indian played in the game, knight to h5, and he wants to put his knight to f4 and then play f5. Also, he could very well play f5 immediately. You know, let's assume that white plays the move a4 just for the sake of understanding, and then you play f5 and then I take, then in this position usually what happens is that this bishop attacks the knight on h5. We have the lights back. So knight into e5 is how white tries to take advantage of this, but now after bishop e5 you see that this knight is at hanging, so you cannot really take here. Bishop into c3 comes. So that's the reason why f5 here is a very good move. But so knight h5 was played, and what would you play here as white? Okay, now I need some suggestions for white. Advait says I play knight d7 here and play f5. Sure, this is a possible way to play. I just feel like then f5 may, you need to perhaps prepare with h6 so that f5, knight g5, knight e6 doesn't come in. Okay, knight h5. And now white to move. Naresh says we love listening to you even without electricity. Okay, wonderful. Well, the lights have come back, they're slowly coming back in the hall, and so the players have started their clocks and the games are beginning once again. Okay, just let me see if I have the view. Yeah, I can show you the view of the playing hall. You can see the lights are a little low than usual, but soon all the lights will begin. And okay, let's see if we can get the feed on A group soon. Until then, Pulkesh Sahu says knight e1, Manthan Kale knight d2, b3, c5 by Sanjay and Gaurav. Lekha Rathod says c5. All of you are suggesting very, very plausible moves, plausible options. So that's well done, guys. But the right move that was played in the game, and I'm not saying it's the right, but it's what was played in the game, was rook e1. I think what he's preparing Indian is that when the knight comes to f4, he can just drop his bishop back to f1. That's the main idea. Okay, knight f4, bishop f1, and then came, it's black to move once again. What does black play now? Black to move. If we can get the feed of the live boards on A group, I'll want you to show that. This is the game that we are looking at, is P Indian playing with the white pieces, and this game is on board number 7 against Antonio Vianney Dicuna. It's also because I showed this game because boards 5 and 6 do not have any moves that were played. Somehow there is some live broadcast issue with those boards. And also the reason why I am showing this game is because I like it very much, the way the both players are playing. Gaurav Mahajan, Anand Pandya, Aniket Sanjay, Advait, everyone says F5, Anand, Aryan, Gaurav Mahajan. This is great. All of you are very certain about the move F5, and I think that F5 is not at all a bad move. Perhaps you have to be a little bit concerned. I am not sure if F5 I take, and you don't really want to take with the knight as such, because then white has a nice square on E4 for his pieces. So you take with the pawn, and then after bishop F4, EF4, this might not be a structure that you are wanting to go into. Perhaps, I am not so sure, but if white can get something like knight D4 here, suddenly this E6 square becomes very soft. So, you have to consider these things a little bit more seriously. So, instead of E into F5, what Indian did was he played the move A5 here, and he's sort of switching his plays. He went knight H5, knight F4 first on the king side, then he played A5 on the queen side, and black doesn't really want to play, white doesn't want to play B5, because after B6 it's like the entire queen side is blocked. You can't do anything here, and now on the king side black will start his play with F5. Yeah, let's go to board number 7 if we can. Maybe the issue here is fixed. Yeah, that's exactly the board we want to look at, but somehow coming a little bit more zoomed in than let me see if I can. That's Indian that you see on the screen. He is one of India's latest GMs. Okay, let me see. There's some issue with some kind of a live stream, but here okay. Advait Vibhute. It is not like that. So I'm just trying to fix this video for you guys. Just give me a couple of seconds. sorry for that, we are not able to fix that, but let us get back to the board now. Let us have a look at what was played. It was not b5 that Indian played, and this is a very typical idea to take the pawn here. B takes a5, because once the pawn is taken, and let us assume, I am just trying to show you a variation, if you play bishop d2 and if black plays b6, it looks like the queen side is sort of shut, because c5 is not possible now. But what white does is he goes a4 a5 and then softens up the queen side structure anyway. So in this way things remain open on the queen side because of b into a5. So it's a very powerful move. Okay, and here Antonio played the move c5, Vianney played c5, Indian played a4, rook into a5, and now is your turn once again. What should white play? What would you play here as white? It's an interesting move. Pulkesh Sahu says, what about c5 after a5? Well, I think ab4 is hanging, right? You can't really play. So if here you start with c5, then this is just hanging here. So you can't do that. You must take c5 takes a4 takes on a5, and now white to move. Gaurav Mahajan says rook to a3, Aniket Kelgandre says knight b5, bd2 Prathamesh Divekar, Manthan Kale g3, bd2. You know a position is rich when the moves that are suggested, many of them are right. I don't see anything wrong with knight b5, because here you can play bishop d2 next and then a5. I don't even see anything wrong with bishop d2. I do have problem with the move g3. Not very sure if this is a good move, because after knight h3 you can't go king h1. This is hanging here. If you play king g2, I think after f5 this is start of pretty dangerous attack, because knight cannot be taken. Fe4 is coming. And in general, if bishop into h3 you don't want to do, because after bishop h3 black has a lot of light square weaknesses to play with. So Manthan, I think g3 is a dangerous move. You shouldn't be making that. Aryan says knight d2 to b3. Again, a very logical idea. Knight d2 b3. And so overall, I have a feeling that there are many moves which are good, but Indian chose the move which is very unusual. He played rook to a3. He wants to use the rook down the third rank at some point. I don't know. And now after h6 was played, once again it's white to move, and Indian is thinking for his move. Guess what, Manthan, he did play your move g3. Okay, so this is interesting now. I understand what is the point here. Go king g2 and after f5 to actually take, because if now take, I can take on h3, there is no problem. And if bishop f5, then I guess I can do something like knight d2 to e4. I want to play that basically, knight e4, or just use that e4 square. And now I guess g3 is interesting. This is a very nice play by Indian. We have to see if Antonio is able to create attack on the king. But rook a3 and g3 are two moves which I would have never made in my game, so I'm learning a lot from this game as well. Okay guys, so this is the game between Inian, who was playing with the white pieces, against Antonio Vianney di Cunha. Let's look at some other games, shall we? Yeah, Gaurav Mahajan, please go on and tell me, you're suggesting some move. I have a feeling somehow that Abhijit Gupta is going to win a very quick game today. So that will be definitely one to watch out for. And I get the feeling that Deepan Chakravarti has played the opening very ambitiously and somehow will be in trouble, because we had looked at the game until this point, and here white continued with queen d2, and instead of playing a move like bishop e7, which looks normal, black went knight b6, which is okay, again a fine move. And then white played a4, so he's not trying to castle, and then knight c4, bishop takes, b takes. Just get the feeling that after h4 it is white who has some very nice initiative, you know, like these pawns and the pieces are well placed. I don't know, this is a very difficult position to assess, but I have a feeling that white is slightly better. So any more games that we can look at? Do you have any suggestions for games today that you would like to see? The games which I am looking at and I find interesting and, you know, unusual. I think let's look at, there is one game, Cuchara Mohan versus Harshwardhan, because in this game we have already lot of pieces which have come out of the board. So you know, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castle, knight into e4, d4, b5. So we play this exchange variation, knight d2, knight c5, c3, d4, bishop a6. Well, bishop c2 is the main move, and then sometimes you even have to play like this. But he took here, knight e6, takes, takes, knight b3, takes, oh my god, huge number of exchanges, and then queen g4. So this really shouldn't be too much of a trouble for black, perhaps. But what do you play here is the question. I'm wondering if queen d7 is a possibility, but then take and rook d1, you may even just drop the pawn. So perhaps not a good idea. Pat Nathan says, are all just grandmasters here or some are kids? Well, some are kids, some are grandmasters, some kids are also grandmasters. So this is one of India's biggest international tournaments, and here there are a lot of strong players including Gukesh, Divya Deshmukh, Pranav, Leon, so many youngsters playing, Aditya Mittal. Yeah, g6 is definitely a possibility, but I was wondering if rook d1, how do you save the pawn? I feel that black has to do something more than just g6 here. This is one of Mamedyaro's lines, says Aryan Goswami. Yes, Aryan, I think so. Mamedyaro really likes to play this. Let me check if this position has been reached before ever using the reference feature. Gukesh, he lost yesterday, so I don't even think he's on a live board today. So that game definitely we cannot really see. Like this position has been reached many times, and here the main moves have been knight e4 and a4 in this position. So knight b3 is a very rare move, and this was played by Cuchara Mohan, and this has been played in, I don't know, not even any classic games. Geller has played it once in 2015, and here taking on b3 has been always the main choice, and after queen b3 to play bishop c5 or bishop e7 and then just castle. c5 looks a little bit too ambitious, and then to take here with the knight instead. I guess taking with the pawn would have been preferable. No, this knight here is strong, but maybe he was afraid of f4 f5 coming in, so he said, okay, I'll take here like this. But yeah, after queen g4 it just looks very dangerous. I mean, white looks clearly better. Yeah. Rook d1 is a threat, e6 is coming in, this bishop cannot develop easily. So in general I feel that white is better here. I hope that you guys agree with me. Who is the other games that we can look at? What are the other games? I think from the interesting games point of view, just having a look at some of the games. By the way, that game with Antonio Vianney and Indian did continue with g3, knight h3 check, so we should get to that game at some point. Yeah, let's look at Abhijit Gupta's game. A lot of moves have been made after what we saw, and we saw till a5, then bishop h3 was Abhijit's move. Quite a unusual move. I mean, I would have thought knight df3 perhaps, but he played bishop h3, knight into e5, d into e5, knight e4, knight e4, d e4, and bishop f4. Interesting. I was wondering why not. Yeah, bishop f4 is okay. Okay, white looks definitely slightly better here. This is what I feel. So you can play your rook here, possible. This is Eduardo Iturizaga game, says Gaurav Mahajan. Let's look at if we can go to Eduardo Iturizaga's game. He's playing today S. Nitin, and white is Iturizaga, black is Nitin, and the position which we have reached is this one. Once again, this was a King's Indian, so you can see King's Indian, Catalan, these openings are ones which are being repeated at this level. Well, it's a positional position with Knight nicely plonked on b5, all these pawns under some pressure. I think Iturizaga is slightly better, and Nitin loves to play actively to attack, and here I don't see him getting his kind of attack in the position. So this would be something for white here for sure. Let's look at some other game. Petrosian Manual on board number 1. This is the game which we had followed till knight a7 till this point. Rook c1 and e4 was played, followed by d4, a4, e6, take, bishop e6, d5. Still can't castle, but h4 was played finally, and now short castle was done. f6, rook e1, knight d, queen d8, bishop f1 looks clearly better for white. I mean, I'm attacking this pawn. Later I'll play b4, maybe move the knight and look for f4 e5 break. All in all, this looks bad. In this position, white is Petrosian Manual, black is Peter Koschenko. Okay. Some people are saying Divya Deshmukh's game. Divya, I think, got a walkover today against Sarbojit Paul. No game took place. Aryan Varshne's game is interesting today. He is playing against Shyam Nikhil. Let's look at their position. It was some kind of an unusual opening. Here white is Shyam Nikhil, black is Aryan Varshne. Queens came off the board. Interesting. Knight b8, knight b2, knight c4, and well, white is a pawn up, but look at his pawns, they are tripled. But also the rook cannot come to c8 to attack it, so not so easy to win the c5 pawn. After rook fe1, I get a feeling that white is better here. In spite of having these tripled pawns, he has an extra pawn, and so he should be better. That's the game of Shyam Nikhil versus Aryan Varshne. Okay, what else can we see? I think we'll just try to call it a day for now, and then come back again after some few hours to take you through to the end of the game. But before I leave, I would like to show you the position of the game that I think will be very, very exciting, and which you must keep an eye out on, is Inyan's game against Antonio Viani. You see knight h3 check was played in the game, and after king g2 we reach this position. The interesting point is, will Antonio play f5 or will he play something else? Okay guys, so this is my last few minutes. I want to tell you a bit about the ChessBase India app, which is in the Play Store now. It's an Android app. We have had a lot of downloads in the last couple of days since we have made it available. People have liked it very, very much. So if you have downloaded it and are using it, then let us know your feedback by rating the app. And if you haven't downloaded it, then go to Google Play Store and download the app. It's going to be very useful for you. So my predictions for today are Petrosian Manual will beat Peter Koschenko. Deepan Chakravarti may lose against their Sahakyan. Abhijit Gupta will draw his game against Neverov. Okay. So, Stupak Kirill will win against Nguyen Van Huy. Indian will beat Antonio Vianney. I think these are the games that we have seen until now. So these are the main ones. And the last one, which is I think Cuchara Mohan will get the better of Harshwardhan GB. This position, which I guess you all remember now, this is the one which we are looking at. I think White has good chances here in this position. I think we'll be live somewhere around 1 or 1:30 p.m. to look at the end of the games. This is when we will be back. Until then, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And you know, the lights went out, a lot of things happened, but we went through many of the games, and I hope you enjoyed it. You know, this is a nice way for us to interact. And today I'll be live today at 1:30 p.m. On this channel. Okay, see you and take care.